I am running for Colorado State House of Representatives. Why, are you probably asking, would I want to do something like this? I have been encouraged by my current state representative, Representative Patrick Neville, who is term limited, to run for that seat in House District 45 when it becomes vacant. In the past months, I am hearing the same issues surfacing repeatedly. Unlegislated mandates, forced closures, censorship of free speech, especially of Christian students and parents, usurpation of parental rights, the radicalization and sexualization of educational curricula, the undermining of constitutionally guaranteed liberties. All are dominating our culture, destroying our republic, and dividing our people. I will defend equality under the law and support individual charity. Government has favored one group of citizens over another, has legislated redistribution of private property, and has replaced equality with equity and charity with coercion. Speaking of limited government, Thomas Jefferson wrote, "In questions of power, then, let no more be heard of confidence in man, but bind him down from mischief by the chains of the Constitution." Jefferson's words are more relevant today than when he wrote them over 240 years ago. Government at all levels has become infected with the Pac-Man syndrome. Government is gobbling up individual liberties without restraint and growing beyond its intended mission. Colorado legislators and other elected officials ignore the federal and state constitutional restraints on their power. Delegating authority to appointed bureaucracies without taking legislative responsibility for their actions is simply wrong. And government discrimination is evil. Government must be and can be restrained by the Constitution. James Madison said, "Crisis is the rallying cry of the tyrant." Unconstitutional actions by government regulatory agencies have shuttered businesses, neutered a vibrant economy, silenced citizens, and closed churches. G.K. Chesterton said, "Fallacies do not cease to be fallacies because they become fashions." Unlegislated mandates have constrained free association, restricted travel, radicalized education, and labeled parents as domestic terrorists. Administrative mask mandates and vaccination cards have become the fashion of our time, destroying friendships and splitting families. Only legislatures should pass laws. When it comes to First Amendment liberties and parental rights, Benjamin Franklin said, "Whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must first start by subduing the freeness of speech." Once the staunch defender of free speech, the media, through misinformation and misreporting, has silenced debate and the free speech of students and teachers. School boards do not simply ignore parents' concern, but seek to gag their legitimate questions concerning radicalized curricula. Health department dictates subvert the rule of law and overrule citizens' freedoms. The courts have ruled. All ideas having even the slightest redeeming social importance, unorthodox ideas, controversial ideas, even hateful to the prevailing climate of opinion, have the full protection of the First Amendment. The Supreme Court ruled that in 1957 in Roth versus the United States. In Tinker versus Des Moines, a landmark case, the Supreme Court ruled it can hardly be argued that either students or teachers shed their constitutional rights at the schoolhouse gate. Also in that same landmark case, the Supreme Court ruled in our system, state-operated schools may not be enclaves of totalitarianism. In our system, students may not be regarded as closed-circuit recipients of only that which the state chooses to communicate. That's Tinker versus Des Moines, Independent School District. Federal and state Supreme Courts have ignored their own opinions and enslave students and reduce teachers to mere script readers for the administrative state, creating a chilling effect on true education. State schools have become re-education camps and indoctrination centers. We must free students to learn. When it comes to life, our founders said all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's the Declaration of Independence. Life is precious. All life, born and unborn, must be guaranteed and protected by law because it is a gift of God. We are called to courageous action. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, in his last covered speech at Harvard before the media dumped him, said, "A decline in courage may be the most striking feature that an outside observer notices in the West today. The Western world has lost its civic courage, both as a whole and separately, in each country, in each government, in each political party. Must one point out that from ancient times, a decline of courage has been considered the first symptom of the end?" Again, that was Alexander Solzhenitsyn's Harvard University commencement address, June 1978. I have been active for over 40 years, teaching students the biblical role of government and the biblical jurisdiction of the individual, family, church, and state. I have helped write and pass a resolution in my precinct caucus to defend the right of conscience of small business owners such as Jack Phillips of Masterpiece Cake Shop. I have defended the rights of parents to direct the education of their students in state, private, and home schools. I have written curricula and spoken on national and local television and radio programs defending liberty. On the Liberty Bell are these words: "Proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all the inhabitants thereof." That is Leviticus 25:10. These words are cast in bronze on the United States symbol for freedom, the Liberty Bell. Americans understand that justice is delivering to each individual what is due under God's law. I submit we must all become walking liberty bells. Join me in proclaiming, we believe in liberty for all, not liberty for some. For if we do not have liberty for all under God, we will end up with liberty for none. That is why I'm compelled to stand, to act, to run for office. C.S. Lewis wrote, "We make men without chests and expect of them virtue and enterprise. We laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst. We castrate and bid the geldings be fruitful." We need Christians willing to stand up for limited government and for biblical worldview values in all aspects of our society. This is where I have been called to stand. I have been, and by God's grace will continue to be a strong voice for liberty. For all the above reasons, I am now compelled to take my actions and beliefs into the Colorado House of Representatives. I am convinced that you too hold these truths to be self-evident. I need your support in prayer, in telling your neighbors and friends, and in financially giving to my campaign. To take on something this big, I need to know that friends like you are willing to stand for liberty and to stand with me. These are incredible times. We are all in this together, and we will overcome these challenging times together. Please stand with me today with a much-needed donation to my campaign. By law, $400 is the maximum one individual can give. That means a couple can give up to $800. But whether it's the maximum or $250, $150, or $75, any amount will help. I am counting on your support. I am Bill Jack, your candidate for House District 45.